Part 81. Heaven-Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 811. Generally, the princes and princesses were alone in their palaces. Occasionally, their mothers and queen mothers would stay with them, but not for long, because the imperial concubines and others all had their own palaces. Occasionally, ministers from ancient countries would send their children in, and while following the princes and princesses, they would also learn from them, discuss with each other, and make progress together. For example, Xuanhuan and Chu Fengjiu used to come to the Le Emperor's palace frequently. It was Chuyin who sent them there specifically. Moreover, the spiritual energy in the imperial city was more abundant, which was good for them. They did not need maids to serve them when they practiced Taoism, nor did they need guards, because the magic array of the imperial city was not so easy to break. There was no danger at all in the imperial city. However, because the imperial city was really large enough, in addition to the imperial palace, there were many palaces, and the ministers outside often came to the imperial city to attend court, so the imperial city was still quite lively. At the moment, Wu Yu and several others were already standing at the door of the Le Emperor's palace. The door of the emperor's mansion was tightly closed. In the ancient country of Yanhuang, every emperor's son and daughter would eventually have their own emperor's envoy. The status of the emperor's envoy was basically second only to the emperor's son's Taoist companion, and they would generally stay in the emperor's mansion. So Wu Yu came this time to stay in the emperor's mansion. Xuanhuan and the others did not have such qualifications. Among the human cultivators, it is estimated that only the emperor of a country would have 3 palaces and 6 courtyards, with many wives and concubines. Especially in the ancient country of Yanhuang, there were the most wives and concubines. For example, the emperor of Minghai, there were only a few. The existence of the emperor's envoy, on the one hand, was to protect the emperor's son and daughter. On the other hand, on behalf of the royal family, they monitored the emperor's son and daughter, and their status was very high. Even the emperor's son and daughter could not scold the emperor's envoy casually. Chuyin stood in front of the door at this time and said, "Emperor Le, this old minister brought Wu Yu, the emperor's envoy, to pay a visit." After the voice fell, there was no response for a long time. "This is strange, does the other party not want to see him?" As a result, Chuyin said, "It is said that Emperor Le is in seclusion to sprint to a new realm." It seems to be true. Since Emperor Le is in seclusion, you should move into Emperor Li's mansion first. In Emperor Li's mansion, before Emperor Le comes out of seclusion, you can't move around randomly, you can only stay in the Emperor's Envoy Hall, which is the entrance to the Emperor's Envoy Hall. The ancient Yanhuang country has a ceremony to confer the Emperor's Envoy, and many big figures will participate at that time. However, Emperor Le is in seclusion now, and it needs to wait until Emperor Le comes out of seclusion before it can be held. During this period, you should wait in the Emperor's Envoy Hall. He is actually in seclusion. In other words, we may not meet in the near future. However, seclusion is something that is hard to predict. It may appear again in a few years, or it may come out the next moment. In this way, it can be regarded as a little time to react, which is still a good thing for Wu Yu. If there is nothing else, I will leave first. I have sent you here, and my mission is also completed, Chuyin said lightly, stroking his long beard. He was actually a little depressed. Although he said that he had brought Wu Yu back, he felt comfortable looking at Wu Yu now. After all, he had the ancient emperor's edict in his hand. Such a good inheritance is wasted in the hands of these barbarians. However, the ancient country of Yanhuang must have made arrangements, maybe they want to use Wu Yu to create Emperor Yu. This kid is happy now, but it will be a tragedy later, he sneered in his heart. In his opinion, Wu Yu will not live long. The same is true for Nanshan Wanjiao next to him. It's just a pity that he didn't get a share. I can only wait for the royal family to give me some credit, Chuyan thought. Just as he was about to leave, Wu Yu asked, Senior Chu, you promised me 500,000 merits from the Flame Dragon Legion. I can just go to the Flame Dragon Legion's barracks to collect them and exchange them for treasures, right? Don't worry, I'll only collect the reward and not join the Flame Dragon Legion. I won't go after these merits are used up. This was what Chuyan agreed to do, and it was also to get Wu Yu to come as soon as possible. He could afford the 500,000 merits alone, so he nodded and said, just go to the Flame Dragon barracks to collect them, and I'll tell you. As for the location, you can just ask anyone when you leave the Imperial City. After that, he was too lazy to stay here for too long, so he turned around and left in a cloud of dust. This old thing doesn't think much of us. Nanshan Wanjiao looked at his back and said with narrowed eyes. Our fate depends on the ancient Emperor Yanhuang. But I think that since he is a godlike figure, if he takes a fancy to us, there is no need to go through so much trouble. There must be a mystery. We will not die so easily. Let's wait and see. The most urgent thing is to seize this opportunity and make us stronger quickly, Wu Yu said in a low voice. That makes sense, Nanshan Wanjiao nodded. He was a very open-minded person. He immediately laughed and said, this god is so exciting. If you come, you must enjoy it. Whether it is fighting or beauties, it is very exciting. Wu Yu still has a lot of things to do next. They pushed open the gate of the emperor's mansion. Inside was a vast square. At the end of the square was the palace of the emperor's mansion. On the left, there was a slightly smaller but still large golden palace. That was the emperor's envoy palace, Wu Yu's territory. The two entered the imperial envoy hall and found that it was indeed large enough, with everything available. It was spacious enough for training and fighting. The magic arrays around them were also protecting them. Wu Yu observed the surroundings with his fiery eyes. At least it was absolutely safe here, and it was indeed a place where he could practice without worry. Since the battle for dominance in the North Sea, he had finally escaped from the environment of being monitored. Nanshan Wanjiao observed the surroundings for a while and said, you can indeed practice with peace of mind here. However, I am still interested in the gods outside, so I will not stay with you here. I will retreat first. After saying that, he left directly. For him, practicing here was a bit boring, so he immediately went out to enjoy the colorful world. Anyway, he just needs to remember the way back. Wu Yu didn't need to tell him more. Nanshan Wanjiao really knew what he was talking about. He knows how to survive. In this regard, they are the same kind of people. Wu Yu and the sky-swallowing body clone were left. In the training room, the body that swallows the sky continues to take out the Beiming Emperor K to study. There are only 2 magic formations that he is relatively proficient in at the moment, and there are 2 more powerful attack magic formations that he has not yet fully mastered. Now that he has settled down, he must master it as soon as possible. Emperor Keiru will be out of seclusion at any time, who knows what challenges will come then. And when the time comes, there will be a ceremony to enthrone the emperor, and he will face the top figures of Yan and Huang. There are hundreds or even hundreds of emperors, sons, and daughters here, so the challenge is of course huge. The clone studied Beiming Emperor K, while his true body sat cross-legged across from him. Wu Yu calmed down. When he was in the Hell Sea prison, he reached the realm of Yuan Shen. At that time, he quickly increased the realm of outlaw clones, and also surrendered 10,000 people. Dragon Stick, because there are too many people under surveillance, there are 2 things that have not been done. The first is the puppet in the fusion tower, and the second is the next change of the 72 changes. Now that his strength has improved again, he joined forces with his clone today to defeat Emperor Yao. Wu Yu estimates that after joining forces, he can challenge puppets that are beyond the 8th level, and directly challenge puppets that are at the 10th level of the Yuan Shen realm. When the time comes, having a puppet who is comparable to Emperor Yao's son, even if it is slightly worse, will be something that will shock the capital of God. Before that, Wu Yu wanted to practice the next art of transformation. Minglong had already prepared it for him. These were several techniques taught by the Monkey King himself. They were basically easy to master. Compared with the technique of body fixation, magic movement, and violence, this technique of change was more mysterious, but the practice method this time might be a little more complicated, so Wu Yu didn't master it directly and quickly at that time. In Minglong's words, if this art of transformation is advanced, even if it is enlightened by the Monkey King, Wu Yu needs a stable environment to study it. The previous Yinhuan Sea prison and Yanlong worship are not peaceful. Environment. This change is the change of the magic circle. It is called, the art of opening up the secluded world. The so-called secret refers to the mystical, and the art of penetrating the occult. From another perspective, you can also combine everything with everything related to the magic circle is called Yu. For example, there are countless magic circles inside the Taoist instrument. This place is called Yu. For example, if there is a magic circle inside the talisman, it is also Yu. Within the scope of the heaven and earth formation, whether it is a defensive array or an offensive array, it is considered a ghost. The foundation of the netherworld technique is to differentiate a ray of soul, and use the netherworld technique to change it into a special state. It can enter the enemy's Taoist tools, talismans, puppets, mechanisms, and the heaven and earth formation, and use the UN spirit to transform it into a special state. Divine insight can even affect the operation of the magic circle, thus weakening, even disrupting, or even eliminating the opponent's magic circle. The art of connecting to the netherworld is a technique that affects the transformation of the opponent's magic formation, changing the enemy's magic formation. This is a power that other cultivators cannot have. And it requires the soul, so I will wait for you to reach the realm of the soul, and then it allows you to master this transformation technique. This transformation is indeed more mysterious than the previous ones, and it also requires you to have a certain understanding of the magic circle. Wu Yu has been studying the dragon god's ancient formation of the dragon clan, and now his attainments are quite advanced. Sometimes he can have twice as much time by entering the floating life tower for research. Now that the environment is safe, he has the opportunity to learn the art of opening to the netherworld. First of all, when Wu Yu began to ponder the art of opening to the netherworld, the great sage Kishan appeared again and planted the seeds of the art of opening to the netherworld in Wu Yu's body. In the soul. The netherworld technique also has limitations, that is, because it needs to differentiate a ray of soul, even a very small part can be restored after a period of time, which is also a kind of consumption, so it cannot be used continuously. However, once or twice a day, no problem at all. With this netherworld technique, it is possible that the enemy's Taoist tools, talismans, puppets, and heaven and earth formations may not be auras in your eyes, and there will be profound changes in the future. Just this technique of dividing the soul, it's very advanced. This is the art of Immortals. If you learn it in advance, you will be extremely lucky. Mingtaki really envied him. Now Wu Yu has quickly caught up with her previous level. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 812. Wu Yu felt the mystery of the art of communicating with the spirits when the great sage equal to heaven planted the seeds in Wu Yu's soul. This change is based on the magic array, and the magic array is based on the Tao. This art of change is very similar to the Tao. Therefore, the process of understanding the art of communicating with the spirits is also a process of understanding the Tao for Wu Yu. After a deep understanding of the mystery of the art of communicating with the spirits, he found that it seemed difficult to explain it in a few words. Such a wonderful thing must be intoxicated in it to comprehend the changes in it. For example, the way to split a strand of the soul is very wonderful. After all, the soul of an ordinary cultivator cannot even split the second soul, so how can it be split again? The second difficulty is how to affect the magic array. The operation of the magic array has its own rules. To really shake the magic array, it requires the ability of an immortal. Wu Yu cannot comprehend it for the time being, but he can use the seeds to complete it. But even so, he has to understand a little bit of the fur. At this point, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. He took some unused talismans to experiment. Once he experimented, time could not stop. During this period, Nanshan Wanjiao came back several times. Seeing Wu Yu was intoxicated with cultivation, he could not help but feel ashamed and claimed that he was not as hard-working as Wu Yu and could not stand the loneliness. However, before he stayed for long, he could not help but go out to fool around. Anyway, he was everywhere in the capital of gods now, and many people knew him. The changes of Tanjishu can be said to be strong or weak, and there is no definite standard. The key is how to use it. For example, Wu Yu now only understands a little bit of the fur, and it is obviously impossible to use it to the extreme. But even if it is just the fur, it is powerful enough. Shake the foundation of the magic circle. After repeated experiments, Wu Yu's chances of success increased after he separated his soul. Finally, after spending a lot of time, he was sure to use it in battle. Compared with other transformation techniques, this consumed more energy. After the success of the art of communicating with the spirit, Wu Yu immediately moved on to the next goal. That is, to challenge and subdue the puppet in the floating life tower. Coincidentally, Wu Yu had just learned the art of communicating with the spirit, and the puppet was completely dependent on the magic circle, with the magic circle as the main thing. In this way, Wu Yu's art of communicating with the spirit should be able to have a good effect on it. This is also the reason why Wu Yu put the art of communicating with the spirit in front. Now, it is just right to use the art of communicating with the spirit to try to subdue the puppet. It has been a long time since I entered the floating life tower. In this Ledi mansion, Ledizi has not come out of retreat yet, and there are basically no other people. The Northern Dark Emperor's palace is the most advanced spiritual weapon. I have already conquered it. Could it be that this floating life tower is really a heavenly spiritual artifact? A heavenly spiritual artifact is much higher than the Northern Dark Emperor's palace. If so, then Wu Yu's journey to the ancient immortal road is really a big win. The most important aspect of the floating life tower is that it can control time. Wu Yu has not been able to use it much now. If he can use it completely at that time, he believes that the time that the floating life tower can change will definitely not be twice. After all, when the floating life tower was not dominated by him, he had hundreds of times the time change. So the future of the floating life tower made him full of expectations. At the same time, the endless number of puppets in it also made him look forward to it. Now that he has comprehended the art of communicating with the spirits, he and the second soul clone entered the floating life tower. He chose to challenge the puppet. 9 magic arrays, different puppets emerged. Wu Yu has not challenged puppets for a long time, so many new ones appeared this time. The puppet that Wu Yu challenged last time, which looked similar to Nanshan Wanjiao, has not been used yet. In the past, Wu Yu always challenged across 7 levels, but this time it was different. He had to cross 8 levels. After all, he had the Devouring Heaven body clone. And the Devouring Heaven body clone had the Beiming Emperor K. The experience of defeating Prince Yukin and Emperor Yao can be used here. So, Wu Yu challenged the puppet in the last magic circle, the white magic circle, for the first time. When he walked towards the white magic circle, the other magic circles began to hide. After crossing 8 levels, Wu Yu had reached the limit of the floating life tower. This time the change was a little different. The entire floating life tower was shining with white light, which was very strong. In the white light, the figure of the puppet was looming. This time the puppet was a little special. He was not the same as the previous puppets. The previous ones were basically human-shaped. Even if there were changes, they were based on human-shaped. When the white light gradually dissipated, the puppet appeared in front of Wu Yu. A closer look revealed that it was actually a dragon. Of course, compared to a normal dragon, this puppet made of precious materials such as treasures and a magic array is very different. First of all, this dragon has no flesh and blood, but a skeleton. Thousands of fine bones are fused together under the involvement of a magic array. Although it is only a skeleton, it feels alive. Although it is only a skeleton, this puppet looks gloomy and violent, and even more terrifying than an ordinary dragon. There is a domineering aura when it waves its foreclaws and twists its body. There are two dark red lights in the dragon head and eye sockets. They look like its eyes, cold and arrogant. In fact, on each of these fine bones, there are many magic arrays engraved, and the magic arrays are intertwined to form this top-level puppet. I am the skeleton flame dragon. The main body is several kinds of dragon bones, supplemented by many precious treasures, with the skeleton flame dragon array as the main one, and hundreds of thousands of magic arrays as the auxiliary, which makes me so powerful. You actually challenged me across the 8th level, which really underestimated me. Therefore, I will definitely make you retreat. Return in defeat. The skeleton flame dragon was very angry. Wu Yu looked at him a few more times and concluded, I just need a mount. You look so majestic, and you will definitely be very cool when riding out. If you can subdue me, I will definitely let you deal with me, the skeleton flame dragon roared angrily, and its power was barely equivalent to the 10th level of the Yuanshen realm, which was naturally extraordinary. Bonefire raging killing formation. If he didn't attack, it would be fine. Once he did, the skeleton flame dragon was extremely ferocious. The attack formation on its body was directly activated. The puppet was basically equivalent to a Taoist weapon that could attack on its own. If this was the case, the skeleton flame dragon was definitely at the level of a spiritual Taoist weapon. So, in fact, if the skeleton flame dragon could be subdued, its role and value should be quite huge, and it was also the kind that many people wanted to fight for. When the bonefire raging killing formation came out, the range covered the entire interior of the floating life tower. There was no way to dodge it. A pale and complex formation appeared under Wu Yu's feet. The skeleton flame dragon quickly merged into the formation, and its body turned into countless particles, as if it had disappeared. But in fact, it was not the case. When the skeleton merged into the formation, the entire formation seemed to come alive in an instant. The white bone powder burned violently for a while, forming a white flame. The entire interior of the floating life tower was instantly engulfed by this white flame. Then, these white flames turned into various dragons, whistling and sweeping, and the burning power forced Wu Yu to go, leaving Wu Yu with nowhere to hide. It's true that the power of this flame is quite powerful. Under the burning, whether it is the indestructible body of Vajra or the body of devouring heaven, it will be hurt to a certain extent, especially those flame dragons biting and swallowing, which are more powerful. The flame is like a storm, with extremely fierce impact and piercing. If it goes on like this, both bodies will be suppressed by the skeleton fire dragon. The opponent is not a weakling, and Wu Yu must react quickly. Must work together to defeat the opponent. So his body and the body of devouring heaven made different reactions. First, the body of devouring heaven directly sacrificed the northern Dark Emperor K and prepared to fight the skeleton fire dragon head-on. Now the body of devouring heaven lacks the opportunity to swallow, otherwise it will be even more powerful. The second is Wu Yu's body. When the opponent used the magic circle in the puppet, he was already preparing for the art of communicating with the ghost. For him, this was a huge test of his art of communicating with the spirits. He had already prepared himself mentally, and now he followed the steps and performed it. Divide the spirit, communicate with the spirits. The premise is to separate the spirit, which Wu Yu is very familiar with. A wisp of his spirit left his body invisibly, unnoticed, and merged into the murderous array under his feet. For Wu Yu, he seemed to have another pair of eyes, but the world he saw in these eyes was completely different. In these eyes, everything did not exist, only the array, only the empty path was ethereal. The largest array he saw was, of course, the bonfire-killing array under his feet, but in fact it was very complicated. It was hundreds of thousands of arrays running at the same time, and combined to stimulate this attack array. It was like countless gears running, and this largest array was a machine, which was continuously releasing great power. Seeing all this, but also must have the strength to waver, and the key to wavering is to find the most critical node in this array, which is also the most vulnerable link. In fact, the whole process is similar to breaking the array. However, it is easier to understand how to break the formation of heaven and earth, while the formations of Taoist tools, talismans, and puppets are not so easy to break. This requires concentration, and patience. At this time, his main body is fully committed to this, while the body of Tianyan is holding the Beiming Emperor K and fighting with the skeleton flame dragon to buy time for Wu Yu. The skeleton flame dragon is stronger than the body of Tianyan. Even with the Beiming Emperor K, the body of Tianyan may not be able to hold on absolutely, so there is not much time left for Wu Yu. The key, breaking the formation, leading to the deepest way. Where is the key? There are changing symbols and burning flames everywhere. Wu Yu is also overwhelmed when he encounters such a complicated situation for the first time. It is still possible that he will not be able to deal with his opponent today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 813. When he couldn't bear it anymore, he and the sky-swallowing body left in an emergency. This challenge was considered a failure. Of course, Wu Yu did not give up. He knew that the main problem was that the netherworld technique was not of sufficient level, so he left some time to recall the process of using the netherworld troubleshooting technique just now, and think more about what he saw and heard. After he had a clue, he would re-enter and challenge again. It is indeed difficult to fight against puppets across 8 levels. If it was the kind of leap he made before, Wu Yu wouldn't be able to stop him at all. This was Wu Yu's first time to enter again when challenging a puppet. After going back and forth several times, I was finally able to find some clues and became quite familiar with the skeletal flame dragon. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. This time, Wu Yu came to challenge again. The skeleton Yanlong first mocked him rudely, and then took action again. He was also very shrewd. He often took action, but used different magic formations, causing Wu Yu's previous research to fall flat. Demon Extermination Formation. Another magic circle trapped the fusion tower. This time it was no longer pale flames, but black smoke. The black was submerged and turned into demons with fangs and claws, roaring in the fusion tower, with fangs and sharp claws. The ghosts cry and the wolves howl, everything will be torn to pieces wherever they go. The bones and flame dragons are mixed together. His body is equivalent to a spiritual Taoist weapon. It is very hard. His bones alone can be directly used in close combat, and the power is amazing. Only the Beiming Emperor K who swallows the sky can possibly defeat him. It was chopped into pieces, but the bone flame dragon was not afraid at all. This was his territory, and as long as it was not shattered, he could continue to recover. Puppet Array. A wisp of Wu Yu's soul gradually saw the veins of the skeletal flame dragon. In fact, no matter what attack array the opponent casts, the basic connection between the arrays in the body is the same. They are all dominated by one array. The Bone Flame Dragon array is the main array of this puppet. The core is the demon extermination killing array. And also need to rely on this main formation to provide power. Therefore, the key point has always been the main formation. After pondering for many days, Wu Yu finally saw through the appearance and saw the essence of the main formation. The main formation is the deepest hidden, but has the greatest effect and truly exists. It's like the heart of a living thing. That is the core of the puppet, and the attacking array is just its minions. Affecting the minions is, after all, a trivial matter, but affecting the core and causing the most fundamental disorder of the puppet is the effect of the netherworld technique. After finding the foundation, Wu Yu only felt enlightened. Change Tanjishu is also a word for change. His soul entered the main formation and was quickly consumed by the power of the main formation. However, this transformation technique entered the main formation like a virus, like a tightly operating instrument. The most important thing in the middle was the gear suddenly seemed to be stuck. The entire main formation suddenly began to operate strangely, which directly caused the skeleton flame dragon to attack the formation. Everything about him was affected and malfunctioned. Maybe, this time is very short. Wu Yu seemed to have cast a wonderful spell. Suddenly, the skeleton flame dragon himself was stunned. He was fighting with the sky-swallowing body. At this time, he suddenly stopped and the entire attack formation fell into chaos. Of course Wu Yu seized this opportunity. The sky-swallowing body controlled Beiming Emperor K. Beiming Emperor Q's sword energy was everywhere. In this brief moment, Wu Yu activated the magic circle, approached the skeletal flame dragon, and slashed wildly. Wu Yu's body was also on the other side, using magical changes such as magic, heaven, earth, and violence, and then triggered the attack array of the 10,000 dragon stick to bombard the skeletal flame dragon with his clone. For a moment, the skeleton flame dragon was attacked like a violent storm. Boom boom boom. Although the netherworld technique on his main formation quickly disappeared, and the skeleton flame dragon returned to normal, it was just that at this time, he had been beaten to the point of dying, and the Beiming Emperor turned into a long whip and wrapped around him. After being pulled hard and strangled by Wu Yu's infinite sand reincarnation formation, the skeletal Yanlong's body was completely shattered and recovered by the floating life tower. Of course, it won't be long before the skeletal flame dragon will be repaired, and by then, Wu Yu will have a new puppet. Before that, he could dispatch puppets that were equivalent to the 8th and 9th levels of the Yuan Shen realm, but they were of little use at the moment. With the skeleton flame dragon, there really is no need for them. Maybe Wu Yu can send all these puppets back to Dongsheng Shenzhou to protect Wu Yu and the others. It's done after spending a lot of time and energy. The skeleton flame dragon and the netherworld technique were completed. In this way, his strength has actually risen to a new level. The clone actually has a thorough understanding of Beiming Emperor's 4 major attack formations. The reason why he did not use it quickly on the skeleton flame dragon was because Wu Yu wanted to use the skeleton flame dragon to improve his netherworld technique. Emperor Yu's son, he hasn't even left seclusion yet. If he doesn't leave seclusion, nothing will happen to Wu Yu. Now Nanshan Wanjiao is very popular among gods. Although Wu Yu did not show up, the battle that day is still unforgettable for many people. It is said that Emperor Yao Yao also did not show up for a long time. When Wu Yu saw that Emperor Yu's son still hadn't appeared, he planned to go to the Yanlong military camp to realize his 500,000 merit. 500,000 merit can be exchanged for a lot of things. I can challenge the Taoist Demon Palace to get the Taoist magic. I have the 10,000 dragon stick and the Northern Dark Emperor Palace. The Flame Dragon Core doesn't have many spiritual Taoist weapons that can be exchanged. Not to mention the magical powers. With so many merits, I can exchange for more Dao Yuan Shen pills and Taoist weapons used by clones to make those tens of thousands of clones stronger. I can also exchange for some alchemy and magic array related things. After making the decision, he went out for the first time, preparing to leave the Imperial City and go to the Flame Dragon camp. These days, Nanshan Wanjiao has told him the location of the Flame Dragon camp. Now Nanshan Wanjiao is still not there. It is estimated that he is having fun outside. These days, he comes back with a rosy face every time. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Don't think I'm attached to the mortal world. The mortal world is also a part of cultivation. As the saying goes, after going through 3,000 love tribulations and mastering 80,000 great ways, the so-called great ways all come from the mortal world. You have to learn more from me, experience the mortal world, and enjoy beautiful women and delicious food, so that you can achieve the immortal path. Nanshan Wanjiao often shook his head and guided him earnestly. Everyone has his own way, which suits him. If you think the mortal world suits you, then that's your way. However, this is not the way that suits me. I understand. Your inherited immortal has a name called Fighting Buddha. From this name, it means a madman born for fighting, fighting until death. Men should be gentle and gentlemanly. It's not decent to fight every day. I am still the most comfortable brother. I play, eat, and become stronger. Hee. Nanshan Wanjiao often gets drunk. Wu Yu understands him, but he is very simple in his heart. He still thinks that everyone has their own ambitions. Everyone desires different ways. Of course, he doesn't think there is anything wrong with Nanshan Wanjiao. He was originally an ordinary wild boar, and enjoyment was his way. There were many desires in the way of Nanshan Wanjiao, including beauty, wine, and meat, fame, etc., but Wu Yu felt that he actually had them too, such as the way he practiced, the desire to fight and irritability, which was also a desire. What was more prominent was his body of swallowing the sky, that kind of desire to swallow. To be frank, Wu Yu felt that this was the greatest desire in the world. It was understandable that the devouring demon ancestor couldn't bear it at the beginning. And Wu Yu also needed to rely on the original body's soul to shock it. His soul was divided into two, which was a good thing. At least half of the soul was out of the control of the swallowing desire. Only by knowing yourself can you go further. You have much more potential than this, Pig Ming Long said thoughtfully. Not necessarily. Becoming an immortal is not that easy. Wu Yu knew that at this stage, the most important thing was not to be proud, so after completing the two goals, he shifted his new goal and went to the Yanlong Legion to get his 500,000 merits. This was what he deserved. Emperor Yu's envoy. Walking in the palace, Wu Yu didn't recognize many people, but the other party could recognize Wu Yu, especially when he arrived at the gate of the imperial city. Because Wu Yu left the city, it caused a little commotion. After the news spread, there were still many people watching. It is said that Emperor Li is in seclusion, so he has not been appointed as the Emperor Li's envoy yet. This is the imperial edict of the ancient Emperor Xuanhuan. It doesn't matter whether there is a ceremony to appoint him. Now he is the Emperor Li's envoy. The status of the Emperor Li's envoy is still very high. That's right. Everyone knows that Wu Yu has a terrible inheritance, even the royal family would envy him, but the ancient Emperor Yanhuang pays attention to him. So everyone can only envy him. I really don't know what secrets this person has. Let's wait and see, the answer will be revealed one day. Where is he going? This direction seems to be the direction of the Yanlong military camp. It is said that Chu Zunshui promised Wu Yu the merits of 500,000 Yanlong core. He has been hiding for so long, he should be going to claim the merits. 500,000, many people took a breath of cold air. They felt that this number was too much. I guess many people in the Flame Dragon Corps will not accept it. They fought hard but could not get so many merits, but Wu Yu got them out of thin air. It is said that Chu Zunshui promised him this in order to bring him back quickly. He originally had 500,000 merits from the Underworld Corps. That is what the Underworld Corps should give him. What does it have to do with us? After hearing about this, Many people in the Flame Dragon Corps are indeed unhappy, but these people definitely dare not cause trouble for Wu Yu. That is not necessarily the case. There are many troublemakers in the Flame Dragon Corps. There are several who are disobedient and have status. They are all old and not young, over 100 years old, and know how to make trouble for others. I guess it is not so easy for Wu Yu to come back today. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 814. Chapter 807 Giant City. In the ancient Yanhuang Kingdom, there are 5 legions here in the capital of the gods. R, A, N, E, N, O, R, G. These 5 legions are basically the dreams of many Yanhuang monks. If you want to join these legions, there are great restrictions on your talents and abilities. Only after going through many tests can you be qualified to become one of them. Because the Yanhuang tribe has so many talented people, this assessment is even more stringent than that of the Hades Marine Corps. It is basically guaranteed that those who can become the Yanlong Guard and so on are basically the elites of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. The Yanlong military camp is considered a noble place in the divine capital, located on the east side of the divine capital. To the east of the divine capital is a stretch of mountains. The palaces and pavilions of Yanlong military camp are all built on these mountains shrouded in golden fairy mist. From a distance, the palaces and pavilions grouped together looked like a huge flaming dragon coiling around the mountains. Wu Yu is here now. His 2 bodies, the main body and the sky-swallowing body, are always with him. Because the fusion tower had to be hidden, and the sky-swallowing body had long been exposed to many people's sights, there was no need for Wu Yu to hide the sky-swallowing body. Sometimes the main body is faster, and the sky-swallowing body is changeable, so Wu Yu lets it turn into a black mist, entangled in the main body's clothes, and it can reappear during the battle. After all, the 2 bodies were moving all the time, which was a bit ostentatious. The matter of the sky-swallowing body devouring and growing stronger is one of Wu Yu's great secrets that no one can know. Yanlong military camp. This reminded Wu Yu of Luo Bin, the snow-white dragon in his memory. I don't know how she is doing now. Wu Yu became more and more confident because he was gradually getting closer to the level he longed for and was worthy of becoming the other person's Taoist companion. Perhaps, as I become famous in the Yanhuang ancient territory, she will hear about my reputation, but I don't know if she will come to me. Or I should wait until the future to find her. In the past, she was full of secrets. Perhaps, when we are on an equal footing, we can truly understand each other. When he thought of Luo Bin, he also thought of the missing Nangong Wei, and his anticipation quickly turned into regret. Although he agreed to Nangong Huang, where in this vast world could he find out about Nangong Wei's existence? Is she still alive? Unknowingly, Wu Yu had arrived at the boundary of Yanlong military camp. The Yanlong guards here basically recognized him immediately. It's him, Wu Yu. He must be here to receive the 500,000 meritorious service. The merit's worth 500,000 yuan. Enough to become a Hidden Dragon General several times. The Hidden Dragon General is roughly equivalent to the setting of the Netherworld General of the Netherworld Marine Corps. In the Yanhuang ancient territory, the major immortal cultivating legions are similar in details in terms of legion setup, but the names are different. Ever since Wu Yu stepped into the Flame Dragon Legion, the gazes on him have never stopped. These Yanlong guards are similar to the group of people who visited Dongsheng Divine Continent. It's just that although not long has passed, the relationship between Wu Yu and them has been reversed. Wu Yu looked at them in awe and envy at first, but now they look at Wu Yu in awe. Perhaps because of the 500,000 achievements, their eyes were a little unkind. Wu Yu. I finally see you. Just when Wu Yu had just entered the Yanlong military camp and was still thinking about where to use his achievements in exchange for what he wanted, suddenly a voice of surprise came from behind, and he turned around. Look, she is a pretty woman whom she does not know. She has a slender figure, a gorgeous face, and a skin as smooth as gelatin. She has a very attractive figure, with the front and back curved. The Yanhuang armor cannot hide this good figure, and the mail on the chest is also like it looks like it's going to explode. What is impressive is that his eyes are green, as if a forest is hidden in his eyes, and his eyes are very moving. There is a sense of smartness and playfulness. There are also many beauties in the Flame Dragon Legion, but this woman's temperament is even higher. She is obviously from a famous family. Sent to the Flame Dragon Legion for further study. The key is that Wu Yu doesn't know her. However, she looked very enthusiastic, which was very different from the wary and disgusted eyes of others. She came directly to Wu Yu, with a surprised smile on her face, looked Wu Yu up and down, and said, "Emperor, Emperor, you are hiding in. I have finally seen you in the palace for so long. I could only hear your name before, but I couldn't see you, but I'm so anxious." She was full of enthusiasm, beautiful in front, and full of smiles. Of course Wu Yu couldn't be disappointed, so he smiled and asked, "Who are you?" The other party gently lifted his long hair, gave a wink, and said, My name is Lu Yuan. I come from Julian City. I am the Qianlong general here. You probably don't know about Julian City. Julian City, it is a very large city in the Yanhuang ancient country, surpassing the entire country. Have you seen the color of my eyes? I am not the Yanhuang tribe, but the Juqian tribe. We, the Juqian tribe, also have a number of people in Yanhuang. My father, he is the leader of the Juqian clan. It turned out that he was from the ancient Yanhuang kingdom and was not a member of the Yanhuang tribe. It seems that the Yanhuang ancient kingdom is slightly more tolerant than the Beiming Empire. Not only does it allow the existence of other races, but it can also build a huge city to accommodate the existence of the giant tribe. Even this girl from the Juqian tribe can obtain a high position in the Flame Dragon Legion. Of course, no matter what, the Yanhuang tribe should still have the highest status, the largest number of people, and the most powerful people. Don't underestimate me, the Juqian clan. My father is also one of the top experts in Yanhuang. Lu Yuan straightened her chest and said proudly. Wu Yu finally understood her identity. The key question was, why was she so enthusiastic about him? Could it be that she had some connection with him? Lu Yuan winked and said, I know I am being abrupt, but after listening to your deeds, I really admire you. As a foreigner, you were able to rise in Beiming, and when you returned to Yanhuang, you were able to defeat Emperor Yao's son. You were beaten to pieces, but I regard you as my idol. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. She looked at Wu Yu very boldly, as if she wanted to eat Wu Yu. Wu Yu had never seen such an enthusiastic girl before, so he could only giggle awkwardly for a while. Lu Yuan approached Wu Yu. She had a scent of grass and trees on her body, which smelled very good. She said softly, this guy, Emperor Yao, openly insulted our Julian tribe in our Julian city. I hate him the most. Yes, you beat him up that day, but it's a pity that I wasn't there at the time, otherwise I would have cheered for you. I see. No wonder she admired herself so much. It turned out that he was the one who relieved her. The Juqian tribe was not the mainstream of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. Wu Yu could probably imagine the aggrievedness and depression in her heart. Lu Yuan smiled and said, Emperor, I know that you came to the Yanlong Legion to exchange your 500,000 achievements for treasures. This is your first time here, so you must be unfamiliar with the Yanlong Legion. In this case, so I asked the little girl to recommend herself as a guide to introduce the places where the various treasures of the Yanlong Legion are located. Okay. If you catch Qianlong Jiang, it will be spent long ago. Wu Yuzheng had this intention, and she was the only one in the entire Yanlong Legion who did not regard her as an enemy. Of course, he readily agreed and said, then I'll trouble Miss Lu. Emperor Yu, don't be polite to the little girl, just call me Xiao Yuan. Lu Yuan smiled charmingly, and her smart green eyes really made people feel fresh and natural. As pure as the air in the forest. Under the gaze of everyone, Lu Yuan could not wait to hold Wu Yu's arm and introduce him to Wu Yu. As she walked, she peeked at Wu Yu from time to time. She was so happy that she couldn't help but snicker. She was very cute. However, Wu Yu was accompanied by a beautiful woman when he first arrived, and she also provided conveniences to Wu Yu, which annoyed a lot of people. Who is that bitch? It goes without saying that she is naturally the girl from the Jukian tribe. That's right, it's the Jukian tribe. Otherwise, we girls from the Yanhuang tribe would be so shameless and defy others. If it weren't for the abilities of the giant clan leader, they wouldn't even be able to raise their heads in front of others. They would still dare to act wild in my Yanhuang territory. Stop talking, this bitch is a hidden dragon general no matter what. She is a higher level than us. If she annoys her, we will have to walk around. There were a lot of discussions along the way, but Lu Yuan had long been accustomed to it and didn't pay much attention to it. With Lu Yuan's help, Wu Yu was indeed much more convenient. Basically, Lu Yuan could find everything he was looking for right away. What a pity. You have 500,000 merits, which is enough to replace it with a spiritual weapon at once. However, since you have a spiritual weapon like Beiming Emperor K, it is normal to look down on ordinary spiritual weapons. The spiritual Taoist weapon is Lu Yuan's desire. She is now at the 8th level of the Yuan Shen realm. My father said that when I reach the 9th level, he will reward me with a spiritual weapon, he. Wu Yu's merits were exchanged for a lot of miscellaneous things. Since he did not need other Taoist tools or Taoist techniques for the time being, he exchanged them for elixirs, fairy spirits, alchemy, magic circle methods, and equipping his clones with Taoist tools. Because there were too many clones, and 500,000 merits were not enough, and it was all spent in a short time. This trip went very smoothly. Just following Wu Yu, there were a lot of Yanlong guards watching Wu Yu. When they saw Wu Yu coming out in exchange for treasures, the Yanlong guards were a little reluctant. Some people even blatantly insulted Lu Yuan, which made Lu Yuan very angry and said angrily, "These people are really narrow-minded and cannot be considered men. Don't argue with them, but if you help me today, they will make things difficult for you later," Wu Yu said. "It doesn't matter. There were more in the past, but now I am the Qianlong general. Only Yanlong general and Tianlong general can make things difficult for me. But these people will give my father some face, so I have nothing to be afraid of Lu Yu and it doesn't matter." Wu Yu was relieved now. "This is for you. It's not a precious thing. It's a gift." When Wu Yu was exchanging various treasures, he spent 3,000 merit in exchange for a gem with many spiritual patterns. It was green in color and had many functions. He didn't know what it was, but Lu Yuan would probably like it. "Give it to me. I want it." Lu Yuan immediately burst into laughter and was so excited that she wanted to jump up. Sometimes, being happy is really simple. After getting it done, Wu Yu was ready to take the next step forward. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 815. The separation might be coming soon, but Lu Yuan is still a little reluctant. She regards Wu Yu as her idol and wants to stay with him for a while longer. Ran, and Rainen. Wu Yu knew what she was thinking, so he gave her a few original and tail talismans and said, "I don't have many friends in Chengdu. We can get together more often in the future. If there is any trouble, I will help to the best of my ability." Really, Lu Yuan was so happy that she wanted to jump up again. Regardless of her appearance and figure, she is a big woman, with a slender and straight figure, long and round legs, bulging forward and backward, but she is still a little woman at heart, very playful and cute. After coming out of the Immortal Pill Pavilion where the elixirs were exchanged, there were still a lot of people outside. They probably wanted to see how much Wu Yu wanted to take away. The attitude of those who exchanged the treasures for Wu Yu was not very good. Wu Yu, why don't you get out of here? Have you not spent 500,000 of your merits yet? It's really shameless to take something from my Flame Dragon Legion. Hundreds of Yanlong guards gathered outside, whispering. The most disgusting thing is that bastard from the Jukun tribe. Wu Yu got close to her as soon as she arrived. Seeing how coquettish and cheap she looked, I guess they were going to do some dirty things after they left the military camp. The Jukun tribe women are so mean. Wu Yu and Lu Yuan didn't bother to talk to them, but when he was about to leave, and when Lu Yuan was about to send him to the door, there was a bald man not far away, looking at Wu Yu and the others with disgust. Whispering to the person next to him. Wu Yu had endured the unpleasant things they said before, but no outsider could stand such an insult. After hearing this, Lu Yuan felt deeply sad, no matter how good-tempered she was. Sometimes, people's imagination, indeed more vicious than anything else. Wu Yu came into contact with her and felt that she was enthusiastic, young, and had no thoughts in her heart. On the contrary, these men had more wrong thoughts. Crack. Wu Yu disappeared in the blink of an eye, and when he reappeared, he was already in front of the bald man. He slapped the man's face while he was talking, and immediately knocked him to the ground. Half of his face was already purple, and this slap was enough to make him hit the ground. He was dying and could only look at Wu Yu in horror and misery. He wanted to resist and curse angrily, but all his teeth had fallen out, and Wu Yu's eyes full of murderous intent at this time scared him back. If I hear such words again, the outcome will not be so simple. At least, I am the envoy of the Emperor, and I can send any of you to hell. Wu Yu glanced at everyone with a cold eye, and no one dared to fight with him. Looking at each other, they all retreated to the corner, looking at Wu Yu with some horror. Not long after, they picked up the fallen guy and ran away without saying a word the whole time. You are so handsome. Wu Yu was worried that Lu Yuan would be sad after hearing this, but he did not expect that she recovered quickly. At this time, her eyes were shining brightly when looking at Wu Yu, and stars were about to appear. Don't worry, no matter how disgusting they say, I won't pay attention to these gossips. Vulgar men always like to guess some boring things, so they can't improve. I ignore them and move forward bravely to be like my father. People, this is my way. Lu Yuan is still very mature in this regard. Wu Yu nodded and said, thank you for your help today. Let's separate now. I'll go back first. Okay, see you next time. Lu Yuan looked at him with a smile. Wu Yu simply turned around and left. After taking less than 2 steps, he looked back and saw Lu Yuan still standing there, waving to him with a fresh smile. I have to ask you something. Wu Yu returned to her before leaving. Just ask. Lu Yuan said. Yan Ran. You know that in the Hades capital of the Biming Empire, the Hades Marine Corps not only sits in the Hades city, but also has the task of guarding the other world. Now Biming has completely suppressed the other world, so the other world is regarded as the training ground for the Hades Navy Corps. You can gain merit by killing all the gods inside. Lu Yuan was startled. She didn't know why Wu Yu said this. She nodded and said, I've heard about it, and I'm still a little yearning for it. Wu Yu nodded and said, so, does the Yanlong Legion have a similar training ground for the Yanlong Guards? A place for training. Lu Yuan tilted his head and thought, there is a place, but it is not unique to the Flame Dragon Legion. The 5 major legions in the City of God, as well as several other legions, share this place for training. It's just that this is not the same as Biming's other world. How different? The different world of Biming is another space, and this place of experience is called Lava Hell. It is in the world of Jiangfu. It is a huge fractured abyss in the ancient country of Yanhuang, deep underground. In the deepest part, there are volcanic lava everywhere. The environment is a bit more complicated than it should be in another world. Lava Hell. Wu Yu remembered this place. The second difference is that in the different world, there are basically all gods and gods, but the lava hell is different. There are some demons and gods in it, but more of them are ghost cultivators. They are called the Ghost Flame Clan. It is said that in ancient times, it once dominated the Yanhuang ancient territory and established a kingdom within the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. However, it was later destroyed by Yanhuang, and its descendants fled to this lava hell and survived there. Nothing has been accomplished so far. The big character has always existed and is hiding there. The Yanhuang ancient kingdom has no intention of killing all the ghosts and flames. Instead, they use it as a training ground for the immortal cultivating army to kill ghosts. The Yan clan also has meritorious deeds. Unexpectedly, there are still ghost cultivators left in Yanhuang ancient kingdom. It seems that every race of cultivators has a history. For example, Lu Yuan's Juk tribe also had a glorious time, but it was too long ago. Now that Yanhuang has a huge city, it is also glorious. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Comparatively, because the terrain of Lava Hell is complex, and the Ghost Flame clan has been in it for many years and has set up many magic arrays, it will be more dangerous here. It is normal to have casualties during the training. I have been there several times, and it is really dangerous. In order to survive, the Ghost Flame clan basically kills without blinking an eye, and is extremely good at attacking in the dark. Sometimes rescue is too late. After listening, Wu Yu had some understanding of this lava hell. It is indeed a dangerous place, but what he wants is the most primitive dangerous place, because in the capital of God, he can't kill people and swallow them to make the body of the swallowing sky stronger, so he can only go to a place like lava hell. Every opportunity to become stronger, Wu Yu will not waste. There is another difference. There are people from various armies in lava hell, so they will compete with each other. It may take 3 days to get there from the god's capital. In lava hell, we still have more people. The Ghost Flame clan hides deep inside and sets up many traps. There shouldn't be many of them. Sometimes when the number of Ghost Flame clan decreases, we will let them go for a while and stop training for decades. The ancient country of Yanhuang was really cruel to the Ghost Flame clan. They were completely opposed, but they didn't kill them all. Instead, they used them to train their descendants so that they would never see the light of day again. Finally, it was Wu Yu's most critical question. He asked, "Can I go to this lava hell? Do you have the power to take me there?" In fact, Lu Yuan knew that this was what he wanted to ask. She looked bitter and said, "I'm afraid that's not possible. The rules stipulate that only people from the Legion can go there. Your identity as the Emperor of Yu is not allowed. After all, that is the Legion's territory. Even if the Emperor's son goes there, he must get the consent of the Legion. I have the power to go there alone, but I can't take you there. After all, although you have achievements, you are not a member of the Flame Dragon Legion. You are the Emperor of Yu, and your achievements cannot be exchanged for a position in the Flame Dragon Legion. Just like in Biming, there are still troubles." Wu Yu asked, "What level in the Flame Dragon Legion can allow me, an outsider, the Emperor of Yu, to go to the lava hell?" Lu Yuan thought about it and said, "There is no such thing for the Hidden Dragon General. The Flame Dragon General at the Asking Deo realm should be enough. Generally, the Heavenly Dragon General does not care about such things. The Flame Dragon General is equivalent to the Sea Underworld General, and the Heavenly Dragon General is equivalent to the Heaven Underworld General." Wu Yu didn't know any Flame Dragon Generals, so he could only see if he could find Chu Yin. But it seemed a bit unnecessary to tell a person like Chu Yin about such a trivial matter. Wu Yu didn't want to owe him a favor, and Chu Yin might not pay attention to him at this time, because he was of no value to him. "Forget it, I'll go back and think of a way," Wu Yu said. "Okay, I'll also help you agree, and see which Flame Dragon General is willing to let you go," Lu Yuan said. After the two finished talking, they just parted ways. Wu Yu found that he still couldn't leave, because there were many flame dragon guards around. They were numerous and came with great momentum. Looking at their faces, they looked like they were going to oppose Wu Yu. Where did the courage come from? Obviously, someone should be in charge. Sure enough, Wu Yu saw a group of hidden dragon generals dressed like Lu Yuan. There were about 5 of them, all of whom were at least at the 9th level of the Yuan Shen realm. They were not too old, and their level was already very high. In fact, the leader was young and frivolous, with a handsome face, a graceful figure, long hair flying, and a cold gaze at Wu Yu. This person is called Yu Chinayu, the first person under the age of 100 in the Yanlong Corps. He is very famous and close to the 3 disasters asking for the way. It is said that he may break through at any time. Not counting the Dao weapons, his strength is stronger than that of Emperor Yao. He also has another identity. He is the husband of Emperor Ying's daughter and the son-in-law of Yan Huang. He has a very noble status in the Yanlong Corps. Lu Yuan knew that the man was going to make trouble for Wu Yu, so he quickly introduced him to Wu Yu. The key is, what kind of trouble is he going to make? When they surrounded him, the young man named Yu Chinayu said in a deep voice, "Even if you are the envoy of Emperor Yu, you can't just attack my Yanlong guards in my Yanlong Corps. Wu Yu, you are challenging the military rules and discipline of my Yanlong Corps." "So what?" Wu Yu looked at him with a smile. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 816. Wu Yu even contradicted Emperor Yao and defeated him in public. He didn't even give him any face, let alone this guy. Warren. When? R.A.N.N. Although he is known as the number 1 person and has the identity of Yanhuang Prince Consort, he may be more difficult to deal with than Emperor Yao, but since he knows clearly that he is here to cause trouble for him, he has the identity of Emperor Yu and the imperial edict of the ancient emperor. "You're welcome." So what, which made many Yanlong guards even more angry. Now more and more people are surrounding Wu Yu, including many Qianlong generals. Yu Chinayu was afraid that he had seen Wu Yu's toughness, so he did not get angry at this time. Instead, he took advantage of the anger of the Yanlong guards, spoke righteously and in a strong voice, saying, "In the Yanlong military camp, no outsider has ever dared to attack us. Act wild here. Your arrogant behavior is to go against my entire Flame Dragon Legion and provoke our Flame Dragon Legion in the Yanlong military camp. Are you sure you want to do this?" He was very smart and used the Yanlong army camp to suppress Wu Yu. Wu Yu estimated that this person still wanted to vent his anger on Emperor Yao. After all, he was the consort and should be in the same group as Emperor Yao. Otherwise, I can't figure out why he would have trouble with Wu Yu. After Yu Chinayu finished speaking, Lu Yuan unexpectedly laughed and said, "Don't be kidding me. There are a lot of people running wild in the Yanlong military camp. Those emperors, and daughters, the royal family, and powerful people from all walks of life are all in the Yanlong military camp. It's not a big deal to slap or insult a small flame dragon guard in the dragon army camp. If you want to cause trouble for the emperor, just say so. You can't put the big label of the Flame Dragon Legion on emperor. Over the head. Lu Yuan is also a hidden dragon general. Even if Yu Chinayu is more powerful, the 2 positions are equal, and she is telling the truth." For a moment, Yu Chinayu was choked. He didn't expect that she would dare to disregard his own face and make things so troublesome. With his help, Wu Yu smiled and continued, "Don't make it so obvious. After all, some grandsons don't have the guts to do things. They still need to borrow some external strength to be bold. After all, they are afraid of me. If you dare to be honest," he came up and said, "I want to cripple you." It's not him, it's me. This chorus directly blew up Yu Chenyao's aura. Wu Yu wanted to see how he would deal with this guy who appeared out of nowhere. He had been mentally prepared before coming to Yanhuang ancient country, and he had expected this kind of tit-for-tat confrontation today. The only thing unclear is the other party's purpose for you. Who knows what he is doing? Like other Flame Dragon guards, are you dissatisfied with the 500,000 merits of the Flame Dragon Legion? After all, he had worked hard in the Flame Dragon Legion for so many years, but he had not received more than 1 million in merit. After being ridiculed continuously by Wu Yu and Lu Yuan, Yu Chenyao's face really turned livid. I don't know how he calculated it originally, but now, he must have been forced to take action against Wu Yu by Wu Yu's few words. As for Lu Yuan, since he had the same position and internal fighting was prohibited in the military camp, he had no choice. As for Wu Yu, as long as he feels that the opponent is worth fighting, he will never refuse these opportunities that bring him combat experience. Just when people were waiting for Yu Chenyao's response, suddenly, the pressure of the surrounding scene increased a little, and suddenly they felt a new suppression coming. When they looked up, they saw a young man landing in the sky. The young man was wearing a battle armor that was different from everyone else's. Among the golden colors, there were some bright red dragon patterns. Those dragon patterns burned like flames, which further highlighted the man's sharp and domineering temperament. This armor alone is actually a spiritual Taoist weapon. In the Yanlong Legion, only those above the level of Yanlong General have Taoist weapons and armors that are at the level of spiritual Taoist weapons. Obviously this person is the Flame Dragon General above the Qianlong General. Wu Yu saw that his appearance was somewhat similar to that of Yu Chenyaou. He should be a relative, probably an uncle, nephew, or brother. When they saw this person, the Yanlong guards half knelt on the ground, including Lu Yuan, and shouted loudly and respectfully, "General Yanlong." He is indeed a Flame Dragon General. At the same time, Lu Yuan's expression changed slightly, and she quickly told herself, "This is Yu Chenyao's elder brother, Yu Chenyang. He has practiced Taoism for more than 150 years and reached the realm of the three disasters more than 20 years ago. Yes. One of the Flame Dragon Generals of the Flame Dragon Legion. His identity did not exceed Wu Yu's expectations. As the envoy of the Emperor, Wu Yu had a higher status than General Yanlong, so of course he did not need to express anything. Now he and Na Yuchenyang were confronting each other, and the other party's majestic power brought about tremendous suppression. However, with his level, it was still impossible to directly suppress Wu Yu in his aura. There is no doubt that since he is here, he will definitely stand by his brother's side. What's the matter? Gathering a crowd to make noise, Yu Chenyang glanced at Wu Yu, then looked at his brother sternly and asked. Yu Chenyaou organized his speech and said, coming back to General Yanlong, Wu Yu, the envoy of the Emperor, acted wildly in the military camp by virtue of his status and severely injured my Yanlong guard at will. I stand up for the Yanlong guard. Sure enough, he was still not as direct and rough as Wu Yu, and he still had to play with some verbal tricks in front of his brother. After Yu Chenyang heard this, he turned his attention to Wu Yu and asked flatly, Envoy of Emperor Yu, are what Yu Chenyang said true? Wu Yu estimated that the realm of Yuan Shen is one thing, and the realm of Dao is another. When it comes to Dao, it is equivalent to the possibility of becoming an immortal, which is another level. He couldn't go against such a person for the time being, so he said, some people insult others. No matter where they are, I have to take action. If it is not in the Yanlong military camp, I guess I will be sent directly to the west. With my identity as the Emperor of Le, do I need to ask you for permission to teach a Yanlong guard a lesson? This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Yu Chenyang is a smart man. In fact, maybe he knew what was going on before he came. He looked at Yu Chenyaou again and said, then do you think that the Emperor of Le has no such power? Yu Chenyu cooperated with his brother's words and said, "It's just a barbarian from the desolate land. He got a dog shit luck and really thought he flew to the branch and became a phoenix. With such a treasure, he doesn't know how he will die next. I insulted you, but you said that you dare to take action no matter where you are. Do you dare to take action against me?" Yu Chenyu made it clear that he wanted to challenge Wu Yu. Now his eyes were blazing, staring at Wu Yu. The smell of gunpowder emanated from him and spread all around. Most of the young cultivators, especially in the military camp, were hot-blooded. It was normal to fight over a disagreement, and fighting with magical powers was commonplace. Yu Chenyu finally became tough, and the people around him would of course roar and shout for him. Of course, he might also be so tough because he had someone to back him up. Wu Yu smiled. "Wu Yu, don't go against them this time. Yu Chenyang is a person who doesn't play by the rules. I'm worried that he will attack you," Lu Yuen said to Wu Yu with a little worry, and when she looked back, her face was filled with deep worry. "It's all my fault this time, otherwise they would have no excuse to stop you." Yu Chenyu probably made a bet with his brothers, so he had to bite the bullet and stop you today, and even brought his brother with him. After Yu Chenyang arrived, Lu Yuen was worried and a little uneasy. "Don't worry, it's okay," Wu Yu smiled at her, and then faced the crazy, passionate, and manic flame dragon guards, especially the two brothers. His aura was not weak at all, and he still smiled and said, "I'm sorry, I know you want to challenge me to improve your reputation. After all, you are just a nobody. But, there is no benefit, why should I accept the challenge of an unknown person?" He had other ideas after seeing the appearance of the Flame Dragon General. When he said this, Lu Yuen became more nervous. When Wu Yu was in the Beiming Empire, there was news that even several princes could not stop him. When he was fighting with Emperor Yao, he disappeared instantly. No one understands it until now, so they probably know that Wu Yu can leave at any time if he wants to, and they can't stop him at all. Bullshit. Yu Chenyu was still younger after all, and was annoyed when Wu Yu called him a nobody. Yu Chenyang stopped him from behind, so Yu Chen wanted to ask, "Then tell me, what benefit do you want?" Wu Yu said simply and directly, "I don't want to beat around the bush. Today, this nobody wants to challenge me to become famous. That's very simple. Come up with the conditions, otherwise I won't accompany you. My condition is that you are a brother, anyway, you are just a little flame dragon general. I want to go to the lava hell to train. You don't even have the power to approve this matter, right? If not, then forget it." Wu Yu had also asked Lu Yuen before, who could allow him to go to the lava hell. She said that Flame Dragon General and above could do it. Originally, Wu Yu thought that although he was not sure about asking Chu Yin, it would not be a disadvantage to ask, and now a Flame Dragon General suddenly appeared here. He thought about it and transformed the condition into the question he asked now, and it was perfect at once. When the lava hell was mentioned, the people on the other side were a little stunned. For them, it was a little difficult to go to the lava hell, but those above the rank of Qin Fuzang and Qin Longjiang could basically go there at will. Wu Yu wandered around for a while, and his purpose was to go to the lava hell. The two brothers Yu Chenyang looked at each other. Yu Chenyu's eyes were blazing and his fighting spirit was surging. This was not a difficult task for Yu Chenyang, but if he agreed, the gesture of the two brothers joining forces to cause trouble for Wu Yu would be too obvious. But it seemed that Wu Yu himself did not care about this, and others probably would not say much. The key point was that Yu Chenyu had clearly studied the battle between Wu Yu and Yao Daizi that day, and he was still quite confident. Therefore, Yu Chenyang said, "Okay, then take this as a bet, and everyone present will witness it. If you win, I will naturally take care of this matter for you. This matter is simple." "That's fine. All of you step back and let me see what this unknown person is capable of," Wu Yu said proudly. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 817. Chapter 10 Nether Soul Saint Emperor Sword. In this way, dare to speak, dare to fight, and feel free. If there is a disagreement, fight on the spot, so what? Wu Yu found that he was getting closer and closer to the will of the Monkey King. Whenever this happened, the growth of the Tao he possessed would be particularly fast. Of course, compared with the Monkey King, he had some things of his own. Renan. R.A.N.E.N.O.R.G. After possessing the body of the devouring heaven, it was especially like this. Although his soul has been divided into two, it is actually still one, and the other will have an impact. When the main soul suppresses the second soul will in turn affect the main soul. This kind of influence makes Wu Yu more fanatical, purer, more direct, and more warlike. For example, he doesn't want to miss this battle today. Even if the number of spectators today is far less than last time. Wu Yu's arrogant attitude made Yu Chenyang sneer in his heart. He probably thought that Wu Yu was so reckless that he would not live for long. Therefore, he was very straightforward and led everyone to get out of the battlefield. This happened to be a huge square, where Wu Yu and Yu Chenyu could fight to their heart's content. Wu Yu, you must be careful of Yu Chenyang. Lu Yuan was still very worried. Her originally lively face and eyes were also worried at this time. Wu Yu patted her shoulders and said nothing, asking her to go to the side. Finally, he found that she was still worried, so he said, "You watch carefully. I will try my best to end the battle within 60 breaths. 60 breaths. Lu Yuan was pushed away by Wu Yu before she could come to her senses. When she was gently pushed away by Wu Yu, Yu Chenyu, who had been unable to hold back, directly sacrificed his upper spiritual weapon. Although he only had one upper spiritual weapon, it was indeed not simple to reach such a level. In terms of cultivation alone, he should be stronger than many princes and emperors. As long as he made a move, Wu Yu could see the general idea. Soul-locking pagoda, Yu Chenyu held it with one hand, and waved the other hand in the air. When he turned around, a pure black pagoda was ready in his hand. The pagoda was shrouded in black mist, as if countless suppressed souls were making some miserable cries. On the eaves of each floor, there were many white bells hanging, and the white bells were shining, as if there was an immortal sitting in each one. Yu Chenyu wanted to attack first and seize the first position. Since he decided to go to war, even if it was just for a chance to go to lava hell and make the body of the devouring heaven stronger, Wu Yu would go all out at this time. At this time, there was only one Yanlong general who was not at a high level of the asking realm, so he was not worried at all. Almost at the same time, his two extremely important helpers appeared in front of Wu Yu. First of all, it was the devouring heaven body. The devouring heaven body was on his body, but he had transformed into black mist before, surrounding Wu Yu. At the moment of the battle, his body quickly appeared, with bloodthirsty eyes, flying white hair, and a cold temperament. In his eyes, Yu Chenyu had become a prey. People were already familiar with the devouring heaven body. Another thing that appeared was the skeleton flame dragon summoned by Wu Yu from the floating life tower. This level of puppets always came in handy, so when the skeleton flame dragon appeared, the gloomy white bones and violent power appeared in front of the flame dragon guards, and people were stunned at once, including Yu Chenyu. What is this? It's not a real corpse, nor is it the method used by ghost cultivators to train corpse puppets. It's a magic array and some precious materials. It's actually a mechanical puppet. But how could there be such a powerful mechanical puppet? And how could Wu Yu have it? Even the flame dragon general Yu Chenyu was very shocked at this time. Looking at the puppet roaring around Wu Yu, he was so surprised that he couldn't speak. He could clearly feel the strength of the skeleton flame dragon. He knew that he had never heard of this puppet before, and Wu Yu had obviously never used it before. But, there is no doubt that this is a very powerful trump card. No matter how much Yu Chenyu studied Wu Yu and how much combat information he got, when this skeleton flame dragon appeared, his previous deployment would be completely disrupted. And, in this kind of battle, the clones and puppets that can be controlled by oneself are basically considered part of the personal combat power. Just when everyone was in shock, the battle between the two broke out directly. Yu Chenyu reacted quickly. He had prepared in advance. At this time, he directly rotated the soul-locking pagoda in his hand and used the purple palace energy in his body to activate the magic array. Supreme Immortal Soul-Locking Absolute Array. As soon as he made a move, in order to avoid more trouble, he directly used the magic array that he was most confident of. Under his control, the soul-locking pagoda instantly became larger and appeared directly on the heads of Wu Yu's two bodies and the puppet, occupying half of the battlefield. Then, the white bells on it rang crazily. Wu Yu looked up and saw that the white light in those bells was even stronger. Indeed, many real gods could be seen in them. They were high above and looked down on the common people. They jointly exerted their power to construct the supreme immortal soul-locking absolute array, and directly suppressed Wu Yu and others. For a time, this upper spiritual weapon showed an absolutely shocking lethality. It can be clearly seen that a pitch-black magic circle trapped Wu Yu and others inside, and then many immortals suppressed Wu Yu from the sky, trying to crush him to pieces. However, this soul-locking array was so powerful that it directly suppressed the Yuan Shen. They probably estimated that Wu Yu was not at a high level and the Yuan Shen must be very fragile, so they were sure and used the attack to suppress the Yuan Shen directly. Such a plan. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. For Wu Yu, it would be really uncomfortable if he accepted the impact head-on. However, Wu Yu happened to have a way to solve it. On the one hand, the puppet skeleton flame dragon has no soul and is purely triggered by the magic circle. This immortal soul-locking formation has limited effect on it. On the other hand, the netherworld technique that Wu Yu just comprehended can come in handy at this time. The first thing Wu Yu used was the netherworld technique. At the same time, the skeletal flame dragon rushed directly into the sky. Its body itself had terrifying power, comparable to the spiritual Taoist weapon. The dragon's tail was drawn horizontally. Huge destructive power. However, the first thing that changed was the netherworld technique. Before the opponent's magic circle could take effect, Wu Yu moved quickly and directly used the netherworld technique. A ray of soul quickly rushed into the soul-locking pagoda. Middle. Netherworld technique. Launch. This art of change has the risk of failure, and it is not certain when it will be cracked. So we can't rely on them all, we can only treat them as surprise weapons. However, this time, it seems that he happened to encounter the magic formation that Wu Yu is good at. When he entered the soul-locking pagoda, it was the main formation of the spiritual weapon, and when the immortal soul-locking array was implicated, everything was still being activated. This timing was unintentionally the best. Wu Yu cut in directly and displayed the changes in the netherworld technique, achieving the best effect in an instant. That is, cutting off the performance of the supreme immortal soul-locking array. So, something incredible happened. Yu Chenyu's most certain attack formation was about to work. Suddenly, as if the power of God came, the formation that was about to solidify suddenly collapsed in an instant. For Yu Chenyu, this is more of a shock and depression. This incredible change in this moment will greatly affect his concentration in fighting. Just at this moment, the unaffected skeleton flame dragon swept its dragon tail across the magic circle and impacted on the soul-locking pagoda. The huge power of the dragon's tail blew the soul-locking pagoda away directly. Yu Chenyu was shocked, but he couldn't control it. In the blink of an eye, the spiritual weapon disappeared. If he wanted to take it back, it would take at least 2 breaths. What Wu Yu plays is this kind of time difference. From the netherworld technique to the skeleton flame dragon, it was all done in one go. Moreover, the effect of the netherworld technique was much faster than he imagined. Then, at the moment when the soul-locking pagoda flew out, it was his sky-devouring body, holding the beaming Emperor K, that happened to be facing Xuanhuan. At this time, Xuanhuan was the most confused, and the sky-devouring body was facing him. The fighting spirit was strongest, and this was also Wu Yu's best opportunity, so he almost didn't hesitate to use a decisive move and exploded. He said he would defeat his opponent within 60 breaths, but now the time for 10 breaths has not yet arrived. Tiank Nether Soul Holy Emperor Sword. This is the strongest fighting formation among the swords of Emperor Beiming. The target of its attack is very specific, and it is precisely because of this that it has irresistible single-target lethality. This sword thrust out, and thousands of pitch-black palaces suddenly appeared behind Wu Yu's body. These pitch-black palaces twisted and changed in the blink of an eye, transforming into a huge figure, like an emperor, and then another cold current turned into a sea and swarmed into the beaming emperor's palace. For a moment, this sword carried a torrential cold energy. When the sword energy reached, the entire Flame Dragon Legion was frozen in the cold. For a moment, the faces of all the people around him turned livid, they were all frozen. Wu Yu impaled his opponent with this sword. However, the opponent was unable to summon the spiritual weapon back at this moment. Faced with Wu Yu's unprecedented sword strike, he could only dodge desperately and use various techniques at the same time. To resist the resistance of various divine channel arts, I used several kinds of them in a short period of time, but they were all instantly torn apart by the Tiank Nether Soul Holy Emperor Sword. The cold sword energy gathered together and penetrated everything. Once again, when he reaches the opponent's eyes, before he gets close, the coldness covers the opponent like a sea, completely freezing the opponent. As expected, Wu Yu could kill his opponent with this move. Of course, he didn't have to. The body that swallowed the sky finally understood this magic circle, he just tried to use it. At the moment when the opponent was frozen and a lot of sword energy rushed into the opponent's body, causing a certain amount of damage to the opponent, Wu Yu wanted to withdraw, but unexpectedly, what Lu Yuan was worried about happened. When he saw that his brother was in danger after that, Yu Chenyang actually took action directly. He also used the spiritual weapon and hit Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body from the side. Wu Yu's sky-devouring body was completely unprepared for him at this time. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 818. Chapter 811 Friendship and Trust. Yu Chenyang's intention was to surround Wei and rescue Zhao. He saw that Yu Chenai was defeated in less than 10 breaths and was about to lose his life, so he decisively took action. R-A-N-E-N. But in fact, after Wu Yu defeated his opponent, he had already made plans to stop and had no intention of taking his opponent's life. After this moment, Yu Chenyang should still be able to understand and stop. However, he did not do this. Obviously, he was ruthless and decisive enough, and he would not let go of the opportunity to take action. And all this happened in an instant, and many people had no time to react. In a brief moment, Yu Chenai retreated and finally saved his life. However, his brother Yu Chenyang came too fast. In just a moment, he used the spiritual weapon of some unknown kind to directly defeat Wu Yu from the side. The body that swallows the sky. Just like Wu Yu's other outlaw clones were blown up, the sky-swallowing body exploded into smoke. Even Beiming Emperor K flew out, and Wu Yu was still asked to take back the bag of Sumuru. The smoke particles of the sky-swallowing body shone with golden light, and the symbols changed. It was obvious that Yu Chenyang's attack was not just a rough use of Taoist weapons, but also Taoist magical powers, giving the sky-swallowing body a kind of irreparable damage. Wu Yu had a hint of murderous intent in his eyes. He was merciful, but it was a pity that others were not merciful. In that moment just now, Yu Chenyang was not polite at all. If Wu Yu hadn't reacted slightly, the loss would have been even greater. Even now, the sky-swallowing body was beaten down at least one level. Strength declined again. If this continues, Wu Yu's biggest advantage will be gone. After all, the sky-swallowing body is now his greatest support for combat effectiveness. It is now equivalent to the 7th level of the Yuan-Shen realm. How could this make him not angry? At this time, Yu Chenyang supported his younger brother with an expressionless face and was healing his younger brother's injuries. Yu Chenyang was indeed not very impressive. Although he was known as the #1 genius in the Yanlong Legion, he was defeated by Wu Yu in just 10 breaths. Is still in a coma, which is really embarrassing. Now, although Yu Chenyang made a move in the end and forced Wu Yu back, the battle between Wu Yu and Yu Chenai was clearly visible to everyone, and it was still very clear. At least Wu Yu crushed Yu Chenai and made the Yanlong guards lose their temper. Only Yu Chenyang's final move gave them a little confidence. When they saw the smoke that Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body turned into, it seemed that it was about to dissipate, and return to Wu Yu's body, they were even a little ecstatic and happy. Master Yanlong General, he probably blew up his clone. I see that Wu Yu usually relies on this clone to fight. Now the clone has been destroyed by General Yanlong, and only half of its strength has been lost. That's right. Wu Yu made a big mistake this time. If he dares to provoke our Flame Dragon General, there will really be no happy ending. Is it worth it for a chance to go to the lava hell? Everyone was in a great mood and couldn't help talking and laughing. Lu Yuan was also more worried, but she felt relieved when she saw that Wu Yu blinked at her and showed no sign of depression. At the last moment, I thought you were going to kill my brother, so I intervened. Even if you stopped in the end, I couldn't take it back. I'm sorry to destroy your clone, but in this battle, you are indeed winner. After Yu Chenyang slowly woke up, he faced Wu Yu and said calmly. Wu Yu laughed dryly, the other party was too self-righteous. However, since they want to think so, let them think so, he said, I just want to know whether what you said before still counts. I defeated him, at least, I can go to the lava hell, right? He didn't expect that after suffering such a heavy loss, Wu Yu would still be thinking about the lava hell. This made him couldn't help laughing. After comforting his younger brother who hadn't realized that he had been defeated, he said to Wu Yu, in 5 days, I will go to the lava hell. When the time comes, you will wait here. After all, they thought they had taken advantage and were too lazy to stay here. Yu Chenyang took Yu Chenai away on his own and disappeared in an instant, leaving Wu Yu, Skeleton Flame Dragon and Lu Yuan behind. Wu Yu first put away the skeletal flame dragon and looked at it for a week. Everyone's expressions were strange, at least not as depressed as before. People were talking a lot, and when they saw that the excitement was gone, they dispersed. Wu Yu really said goodbye to Lu Yuan at this moment. Is your clone okay? Lu Yuan still asked worriedly. After some time, he will show off his power and shock more people, Wu Yu said firmly in front of her. Lu Yuan smiled. This smile was like the spring breeze blowing on her face. She said softly, then I'll wait and see. Although Wu Yu was a little unhappy, he was about to go to the lava hell, which would be devoured anyway. It didn't matter whether he started from the 7th level or the 8th level, he had to rush to the level equivalent to the 9th level of the soul. This is the safest way. If you reach the 10th level, sometimes the devouring desire is too strong, which will affect the body's pursuit of the avenue. If it is difficult for the main body to progress, or even affected by the desire to devour, then the gain outweighs the loss. Wu Yu returned all the way to the emperor's mansion. When he arrived at the gate of the imperial city, the news about him in the Yanlong Legion had actually reached here. Zhao Xuanhuan, the Tianlong general of the Yellow Dragon Legion, was still stationed at the city gate. Wu Yu, he introduced his words strangely, I heard that the emperor's envoy returned home with a full load today, congratulations, congratulations. It was obviously a mockery of Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body being blown up. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Wu Yu didn't care about him. Although this man was strong, but his status was here, even if he was Tianlong general, it was not a higher position than Wu Yu. Therefore, Wu Yu said, if Mr. Zhao keeps guarding here, he will definitely seeing my gains, there are more and more. This sentence was very arrogant, but he said it with a smile and strong confidence in his eyes, so it was still very powerful. So after saying it, Zhao Xuanhuan looked indifferent and did not respond. Therefore, Wu Yu returned to the emperor's mansion. Of course he knew that because of his background, temperament, precious treasures, and the ancient emperor's imperial edict, no matter who he was in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, he would be a little jealous of him, especially since he didn't know how to behave with his tail between his legs. Everyone is tough, it would be strange if they don't hate themselves. It's a pity that with the ancient emperor's decree, no one can do anything. What Yu Chenyang did today was already the limit. 5 days passed by in a blink of an eye, and the emperor still had not left seclusion. Wu Yu even wondered if he was hiding from him. It just so happened that he could make himself stronger before Emperor Yu came out of seclusion. When he came back from Nanshan Wanjiu Hong, he heard about Wu Yu's affairs in the Yanlong Legion. After he came back, he quickly asked, "Are you going to the training place, the lava hell?" Wu Yu said, "That's right, are you coming together? Nanshan Wanjiu loves to practice in the world of mortals. That is his way, which is different from Wu Yu, and he also enjoys it. This open-minded mentality is actually quite good." "Of course, I can't leave you," Nanshan Wanjiu said drunkenly while drinking. The chest was untied, revealing the white chest muscles. "That's right. Now that you exist based on my identity, I went to the lava hell. You have no backing here, so you will inevitably suffer." Wu Yu thought about it for a moment, and then he knew the reason. "That's right, you are still smart and understand my thoughts, boss," Nanshan Wanjiu said with a smile. "At least in the eyes of others, you are my follower." Wu Yu was too lazy to pay attention to him. But when he thought about it carefully, the main purpose of going to the lava hell was to make the sky-swallowing body strong in a deserted place. Nanshan Wanjiu already knew the secret inherited by the Monkey King. If the secret of the sky-swallowing body was let him know that in his mind, he is a person with no secrets. Can you trust him completely? This is a problem. After these days, it seems that although Nanshan Wanjiu is fancy and a little foolhardy, in general, he is still a good pig. 5 days later, on time, he and Nanshan Wanjiu arrived at the Yanlong Legion. These days, word spread in the capital of God that after defeating Emperor Yao, Wu Yu defeated Yu Chenyu again, and this time he used the speed faster. Invisibly, people felt the speed of his improvement. Here in the Yanlong Legion, there are many Yanlong guards waiting here. They are probably going to the lava hell. Most of them are young people here with promising futures. They are the pillars of the entire Yanhuang ancient kingdom. In Dongsheng Shenzhou, everyone is a master-level supermaster. 2 brothers, Yu Chenyang and Yu Chenyu, arrived belatedly. In their group, there was a Yanlong general and more than a dozen Qianlong generals. "Today, I will take you to the lava hell to forge yourself. It will take a total of 1 month. How good you can be depends on you. This is not the first time for you to go. If it is useless, I won't say anything else. At least you all know the importance of experience. If you want to achieve success, it depends on how much you gain." Yu Chenyang's face was silent. While speaking, his eyes finally glanced at Wu Yu. He saw the moon looking at Nanshan. Next to him, Yu Chenyu first said loudly, "Wu Yu, we promised to take you there, but we didn't say that this ugly pig demon can also go. Let him get out of here quickly, a pig also wants to go to our training place." This made Nanshan Wanjiu angry, and he said, "You, my grandson, are not as handsome as me, but you still dare to brag in front of me. Believe it or not, I want you to become a woman, kneel in front of me, and sing a sad song big drama. Yuchen Yugui is the husband of Emperor Ying's daughter, the prince-in-law. He has never been so humiliated before, and he can't control it again. To be honest, when it comes to quarrels, Nanshan Wanjiao is really not afraid of others. He is confident that he can. This guy's face turned red as he spoke, and he knelt down and begged for mercy. Yu Chenai was about to have a seizure, but Yu Chenyang stopped him again and said a few words in his ear. Yu Chenai sneered and stopped talking to Nanshan Wanjiao, which meant that he could go. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 819. What kind of conspiracy are you playing, you two idiots? Nanshan Wanjiao smiled scornfully and was too lazy to pay attention to them. It's nothing more than trying to create a stumbling block for us in the lava hell. To be honest, whether it's dangerous or not depends on us, Wu Yu said. There is nothing to worry about. With our two inheritances, this environment is most suitable for us. Whether it is the Ghost Sea prison or the lava hell, it is our world. No matter how good they are, they can't defeat us. What we are afraid of is it's fair and above board, Nanshan Wanjiao said with great confidence. However, what he said makes sense. With his invisibility skills alone, few people could find them. Under the repelling gazes of the Yanlong guards, they boarded Yu Chenyang's Stardust battleship. This was also a weapon and could accommodate many people. Of course, its speed was far inferior to that of Wu Yu's somersault cloud. After boarding the Stardust warship, this was the first time Wu Yu left the City of God. The City of God was so huge that it took him a long time to fly away. After half a day, he finally left the City of God. However, it immediately entered the scope of the satellite city of Chengdu. It is said that there are thousands of satellite cities near Chengdu. There are a lot of them, and they all fall within the scope of the divine capital. The aura here is also very rich, and it is also the top level in the Yanhuang ancient territory, even better than many places where monsters in the sea gather. Thousands of cities have been built here, ranging in number from large to small, with strong people like a forest. Although not as good as the divine capital, there are still many strong people in the Taoist realm. Looking from the sky, you can see how prosperous the core of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom is. Those densely packed ascetics, cities, and magic formations together formed the prosperous age of Yanhuang. Although this is not the most prosperous moment of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, even so, he is still the number one in the world, and he is still a being that other empires of cultivating immortals cannot catch up with. Wu Yu felt a little emotional. The Yanhuang ancient kingdom was so vast and there were endless young strong men. He could stand out in such a forest only because of the inheritance of the great sage Kishan. Otherwise, he would have been submerged in this place long ago. It is the lowest level among all living beings. It is estimated that even in the Bibo Mountains, it will finally reach the realm of condensation. And now, at least under the age of 50, he is already at the pinnacle of the world. In the past few days, Yan Longwei and others did not pay much attention to Wu Yu. Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiao waited in the corner. It took a total of 3 days for the destination to be reached. The Stardust warship began to land. When the clouds fell, Wu Yu could see the land under his feet. Within the horizon in all directions, there were black and red. The black ones are the charred rocks, and the fiery red magma is flowing everywhere. Here or on the surface of this lava hell, it is already a doomsday-like scene, not to mention what will happen underneath. In the past few days, Wu Yu learned a little about the lava hell. He told Nanshan Wanjiao, this lava hell is very large. From the surface down to the deepest underground, it is network-like and densely distributed throughout the entire underground. There are more magma rivers in some places, and they accumulate into a magma ocean. At least according to records, it is said that no one knows how deep this lava hell is. Anyway, these magma are rising from the endless underground. The Yan clan, some demons, and all gods are all in the depths of this lava hell. A network of magma with no end. That's quite good. No wonder the Giyan clan has been able to hide for so long. Nanshan Wanjiao found it strange. Yes, after tens of thousands of years of adaptation, the ghost flame tribe has become more and more adaptable to the lava hell. Basically, children born as soon as they are born can merge with the hot magma and practice ghost cultivation techniques in the magma. Are vicious and fierce, so although there are not many of them, the ghost flame clan are very lethal and are particularly good at hiding in magma, so we'd better be more careful. Nanshan Wanjiao held his shoulder, patted him vigorously, and said, "Don't worry, don't be afraid. If you encounter danger, I, as your brother, will definitely protect you, so don't be polite to me." "Get out!" Wu Yu pulled his dirty hands. Looking down at this time, he could see that there were about 7 or 8 huge buildings built on this endless black and red land. At least that's what Wu Yu saw in his field of vision. These buildings were integrated into one and were very huge. Each one looked like a fortress, with a spherical top, very round and extremely solid. This is the base established by the major legions here. It is said that there are 9 in total. The central one has a special function. It is not a base, but the core of the ceiling circle. It is at the center of the 9 base fortresses, and the other 8, located on all sides of this central fortress. Every legion has a base here. For example, where the Stardust warship will land at this time is the Yanlong fort of the Yanlong Legion. In fact, despite looking at this large area of land, magma is erupting outwards. In fact, this place is sealed to death. It is impossible for the Ghost Flame tribe and others inside to escape from the gaps in the ground. Invisibly, there is something on the ground. The countless sealing formations set up by the ancestors of the Yanhuang tribe have been improved over countless years and are now extremely strong, and once touched, they will be killed immediately. Among them, the central fortress is the core of the magic circle, and the Flame Dragon Fort is an important part of the Forbidden Magic Circle. These forbidden magic circles invisibly suppress the lava hell, and at the same time suppress the Ghost Flame clan. There are only 8 entrances to the lava hell, within the 8 fortresses in all directions. This is why Wu Yu must be brought by Yu Chenyang before he can enter the lava hell. When the Stardust warship landed, a small gap appeared on the top of the Flame Dragon Fort, allowing the warship to enter. As soon as it entered, the gap was closed. Looking down, the Flame Dragon Fort below was more like a huge city. The palaces inside were all places where the Flame Dragon guards temporarily practiced and rested. There were tens of thousands of such palaces, and in the center surrounded by these palaces, there was a deep well with a diameter of hundreds of feet, swallowing magma and flames. That was the entrance to the lava hell. The Stardust warship landed near this entrance. After Yu Chenyang put away the warship, everyone stood on the ground. Even the ground here was hot. Wu Yu was relatively comfortable here because he practiced the Vajra indestructible body. After arriving here, the Flame Dragon guards were excited and a little worried. After all, they were all very young, and many of them were about the same age as Wu Yu. "Bring you here, and from now on, you are no longer under my control. The entrance is here, you can go in and out at any time. Whenever you want to leave, there will always be someone willing to take you back to the capital of the gods. This Yanlong fort is only open to warships that I know." Yu Chenyang said a few words briefly, and he was going to completely cut off ties with Wu Yu and the other 2. Of course, Wu Yu didn't want to go with them, and he didn't want to follow them shamelessly. That was not the purpose of his coming here. He just needed Yu Chenyang to take him into Yanlong fort. Lu Yuan made it clear to him about the rest. After he entered, he had to remember the location of the entrance. When he came out, he could find this entrance and get out. If he wanted to leave here, someone would return to the capital of the gods from here every few days, and take Wu Yu with him. As long as he left Yanlong Fort, Wu Yu could go back by himself. Where is the Yanhuang fire talisman? Wu Yu asked. This thing is similar to the breaking dark light talisman. There are many Yanhuang clan strongmen guarding this lava hell. Once the Yanhuang fire talisman is activated, they will rush to rescue immediately. Of course, the rescue here is not as timely as in the Yinhun Sea prison, but it can basically guarantee life. As long as the ordinary Yanlong guards do not go deep into the lava hell. Yu Chenyang said indifferently, "You are not from our Yanlong Corps. Why should I give you the Yanhuang fire talisman of the Yanlong Corps?" Wu Yu smiled and said, "It seems that you want me to be killed by the ghost Yan clan in this place, and you will be happy." Yu Chenyang said, "You are not afraid of heaven or earth. You are very brave in the God City. Why are you scared here? I think you are not someone who needs the Yanhuang fire talisman. If he doesn't give it, Wu Yu really doesn't want it. Anyway, he doesn't need it that much. If even he was in danger, then others might not be able to rescue him." Although Lu Yuan reminded him to try to get the Yanhuang fire talisman, she estimated that Yu Chenyang would not give it to him. Then goodbye. Wu Yu was too lazy to continue to entangle with him. He finally came here. Now he just wanted to make his clone stronger quickly. However, since Nanshan Wanjiao was here, he was still considering whether to let him know this last secret. At this time, Nanshan Wanjiao was careless and had no idea of Wu Yu's thoughts. Both of them were skilled and daring. They rushed directly into the lava hell without bringing anything and without any experience. After they went down, Yu Chenyang and Yu Chenai took a special look. Yu Chenai was a little worried and said, "Brother, are we playing too much?" Yu Chenyang said, "Don't worry, they asked for it themselves. It has nothing to do with us. Even if they have the ancient emperor's decree, they can't catch us. But if something happens to him and he loses his life, won't it be serious?" He was summoned back by the ancient emperor himself, Yu Chenai said with a little uneasiness. "Don't worry. The ancient emperor's decree, he just values his inheritance and makes him the envoy of the emperor. I guess it's to let Wu Yu's inheritance be given to the son of the emperor. By then, the son of the emperor will become more and more powerful, and Wu Yu will be sucked dry of blood and gradually fade out of sight. If Wu Yu dies here, won't it be a bargain for the Ghost Flame clan?" Yu Chenai was even more worried. "He won't die so easily. At most, he will be tortured. Don't worry, I have someone following him. Most importantly, I also want to see what secrets Wu Yu has that made him come to this place." Yu Chenyang said. Readers, you can search for to find this site immediately. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 820. Regardless of the matter of the Yanhuang fire talisman, Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiao came to the ancient well leading to the lava hell. Looking down from here, they could see several underground rivers formed by magma rolling under their eyes. As a member of the Yanhuang clan, being able to withstand the temperature of the topmost layer of magma is a basic skill. For Wu Yu, who has an indestructible body, this is nothing. The two of them basically did not hesitate and plunged directly into the magma river. The rolling magma greatly affected the vision. If Wu Yu had not cultivated the fiery eyes and golden pupils, it would be difficult to see what was around. He could only feel it. They followed the magma and went deep into the lava hell. They dived down to a very deep place. After passing through the surface magma, they came to a huge underground space. In this space, you can see that there is magma flowing around. Because of the extremely high temperature for many years, the rocks here have undergone some changes and even transformed into precious treasures. Under the nourishment of spiritual energy, spiritual patterns appeared, so they can withstand the raging magma. Such a huge underground space and countless magma rivers formed a huge network, which was extremely wide and extremely deep. There was constant magma erupting upwards, and after reaching the highest point, it rolled down again. Therefore, even in the underground space, there was thick white smoke everywhere, which blocked the vision. In such a place, ordinary mortals could not survive here at all. At least they had to be in the Golden Core realm to survive. The people of the Ghost Flame clan are definitely just mortals when they are born, but they can survive and reproduce in such a place, which shows that their overall quality has actually grown to a very high level in the struggle. It is said that newborn babies, without any magic power, can swim in such magma. Wu Yu thought of the details he learned in the past few days, and compared it with the scorching temperature he experienced in his current position. He was still a little shocked. In the struggle in the Yanhuang ancient domain, the Ghost Flame clan was the loser of the Yanhuang clan, but now they can survive tenaciously, which is also an admirable ability. Everything in this world is in the struggle, and cultivation is plunder. In this battle, the Yanhuang clan completely gained the upper hand. After plundering, they became strong and occupied the most advantageous resources. Cultivation is sometimes so ruthless. Everyone wants to live forever, everyone wants to become an immortal, but there are only a few who really succeed. More people have become cannon fodder. If they don't die today, the deadline of life and death has come, and their souls will return to the West. The two continued to go deeper. As they went deeper, the surrounding magma became hotter. Wu Yu was fine, but Nanshan Wanjiao began to curse and sweat on his forehead. Such an environment was not very favorable for him. I wouldn't have come if I had known. In the Yanhuang divine capital, there are gentle places everywhere, and here is a furnace. Since they had already come, and it was not so easy to go back, Wu Yu was too lazy to pay attention to him. After all, he was just complaining casually. However, not long after, he suddenly stopped and whispered to Wu Yu, "I think someone is following us." Wu Yu had been observing the surroundings with his fiery eyes, because the deeper the place, the more likely it was that there would be magic arrays set up by the Ghost Flame clan. Many Yanhuang clan members were killed or injured in the magic arrays of the Ghost Flame clan. These magic arrays were deadly traps and must be discovered in advance. If you fall into them, even Wu Yu will be in trouble. But he did not notice that someone was following him. When Nanshan Wanjiao said this, he recalled that he had the same feeling along the way, but his fire eyes could not see the tracker for the time being. "How did you find it?" Wu Yu was a little curious. "The smell, the sound," Nanshan Wanjiao said very confidently. Wu Yu understood that he had fire eyes and his eyes were clearer, but Nanshan Wanjiao's nose and ears were more sensitive. In a place like Lava Hell, the nose and ears were obviously more useful. Who would follow us? Since Nanshan Wanjiao said it, it was a certain thing. Thinking about it, it is probably the person that Yu Chenyang is looking for, or someone else who knows that we are coming here. It is possible that they are here to rescue the Flame Dragon Legion. In any case, we should get rid of him quickly. It must be uncomfortable to be followed all the way like this. Nanshan Wanjiao's method of getting rid of this person is actually not a problem. He can be invisible, so that he will lose his trace directly. Wu Yu's heaven-devouring body is now inside the floating life tower. He can use the somersault cloud to jump out directly. However, after jumping out, it will not be easy to find Nanshan Wanjiao. He can only control the somersault cloud and let Nanshan Wanjiao come in to see if he can get rid of this tracker. Then use this method. Obviously, the one who can track them at this time is at least a strong man in the Three Disasters Asking the Way realm. Wu Yu suddenly used the somersault cloud. He sat on the somersault cloud, and Nanshan Wanjiao followed him up. Without saying a word, the somersault cloud surrounded them both, and then launched the fastest speed, rushing towards the depths of the magma. The somersault cloud's progress is constantly shuttling through the void, so the magma will not have any effect on its speed. Even in this lava hell, Wu Yu's escape speed is still terrifyingly fast. He found that he had overestimated his opponent. With the difficulty of his somersault cloud, even if the opponent was a strong man in the three disasters asking Dao realm, in the special environment of lava hell, as long as he got rid of it a little, it would be difficult to find Wu Yu again. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. The opponent should have found that Wu Yu had disappeared in a moment of days. No matter who this person is, it has nothing to do with Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiao now. When they found that they had gotten rid of this person, Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiao rushed down from the somersault cloud. This underground space is already a relatively deep location, and there should be a possibility that the Ghost Flame clan will appear, so there should be a lot of Yanhuan clan gathered here. There is boiling magma everywhere around. Even if it is not a blank area of magma, it is filled with rising smoke, just like being in a steamer, and it is as uncomfortable as being in magma. Next, follow me to find the Ghost Flame clan. Wu Yu used his fiery eyes and golden pupils to start searching down. Nanshan Wanjiao was also helping him, using his ears and nose to find the Ghost Flame clan. Normally, he should be able to find them faster than Wu Yu. You came to this lava hell, can't you really just want to find an opponent for the trial? There are many people who want to trouble you in the capital of the gods. If you want to fight, you don't need to come here on the way. Nanshan Wanjiao remembered this and asked Wu Yu with some doubts. He probably really hated this place. This involves the question of whether to let him know the swallowing ability of the devouring heaven body. Wu Yu had figured it out on the way. Since he came here with him, the two of them knew each other's purpose, and Nanshan Wanjiao looked really good. In this case, even if the ability of the devouring heaven body was unprecedented, he didn't need to hide. After all, when the devouring heaven demon ancestor was at his peak, he was only at the level of an immortal. So when Nanshan Wanjiao asked, he replied, "When you meet the Ghost Flame clan, you will know the purpose of my visit this time. I will keep you in suspense for now. Don't be like this, I am too curious. If you keep me in suspense like this, I will be itching," Nanshan Wanjiao said with a smile. Just when he said this, there was a sudden movement that attracted him, making him instantly alert, and he said in a deep voice, "It seems that I will know the truth soon." This means that he obviously felt that there should be a Ghost Flame clan nearby. They haven't seen the traps of the Ghost Flame clan yet. If the Ghost Flame clan appears at this time, then it means that their luck is really good. Just after he finished speaking, Wu Yu also felt the movement. The two of them quickly went in the same direction without communicating in advance. Obviously, the movement they found was in the same direction. Rushing through a magma river, breaking a lot of rocks, and rushing into another underground space, the two of them directly faced the movement they felt. What surprised them at first was that there were dozens of people in front of them. However, they soon became depressed again, because these dozens of people were not from the Ghost Flame clan. Judging from the Dao weapons and armor on them, they should be from another of the 5 major legions in the Divine Capital, the Yellow Dragon Legion. And they were all relatively ordinary Yellow Dragon guards, similar to the young people brought by Yu Chenyang, most of whom were below the 5th level of the Yuanshen realm. There were several centurions and 1,000-man commanders, and the leader should be a Qianlong general. The generals of the Yellow Dragon Legion were also divided into 3 levels, namely Qianlong General, Huanglong General, and Tianlong General. Only the middle level was different from the other legions in name. However, the strength of this Qianlong General was not weak, and he should be at the 9th level of the Yuanshen realm. It is estimated that it was because he led this group of Yellow Dragon guards that they dared to train in such a deep lava hell. At this time, when they met each other, they naturally looked at each other. The group was also frightened by the sudden appearance of Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiao. They immediately gathered together and looked at Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiao in panic, with tension, vigilance, and murderous intent on their faces. "Who are you?" "The Ghost Flame clan," The other side's Qianlong general looked at Wu Yu and the other two and said in a deep voice. For those who are reading books, you can search for to find this site immediately.